Welcome to the final episode of our 3 parts of taking a look at two fandoms.
Star Wars and Lord of the Rings.
Okay, let's see where our journey goes. Stick around. Now, the third Lord of the Rings movie.
The bittersweet.
Yes, we knew it was coming to an end. We embraced it. I honestly had no idea where it was going to go. I grew up on the Lord of the Rings cartoon, the Bashi. Beautiful movie, but it ends abruptly because they never made the.
They
part
never got
two.
the right. That's right.
So yes, was it a
Rankin and Bass.
Rankin and Bass did Return of the King.
Yes.
I honestly have never seen it.
Good.
That skipped me for some reason.
Count your blessings.
I grew up with a love of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, like I said, but for some reason that movie did not get as much fanfare, and it just
No, you're right.
went between the
You're right.
cracks in my world.
It totally did. I mean, it wasn't even. Most people hadn't seen it. You know. Actually, you'd be surprised if you start really looking around. The one that seemed to be not popular was the Bashi version for whatever reason. It just wasn't. It isn't viewed. Well, and the thing is, the great thing about the Bashi film is Jackson used a lot of the scenes.
Yes.
And as a more or less an homage. I mean, it made an impact on Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
So if you ever get the chance, it's a fun watch.
It is a fun watch. But my only point of being is I had no idea what was coming next.
Fair.
I
Oh,
was
yeah,
excited.
you were on. It was an unknown Yeah, right.
And the awesome thing about Peter Jackson at the time, we got a movie every year on Christmas.
Yes, we did.
And
this was.
it spoils you for one thing.
It did.
But to be that into your world where you're able to shoot all 3 movies at one time and do that. So, as argument goes, we have to start with Lord of the Rings because it got a good 2-year jump.
Yes, it did.
Well,
Yeah.
Good 2-year jump on Revenge of the Sith.
But not only that, Jackson made some corrections that made sense.
Yes.
Okay, so he pulled Shelob scene out of Two Towers and kind of inserted it into Return of the King, which kind of fleshed out that story.
Yeah.
And then the other thing he did, which Tolkien didn't do, was there's not a lot of emphasis put on Pelennor Fields, the battle in front of Minas Tirith. So, but Jackson did. He expanded this concept. He brought a lot of life to Return of the King. Return of the King, as a book, is the shortest of the 3 novels.
Okay.
But it's filled up in the back with the appendices, the other stories, the other things that Tolkien never got to finish, and some lines that are tied back, and some concepts and different things. But anyway, it's a great book, and it's a fun book because it's the shortest of the 3, so you can kind of get through them a little quicker, or get through that one a little quicker. Return of the King, I think, is like one of the finest films, and if you don't believe me, just look at the 37 Academy Awards that it won. But it is one of the finest films made because it kind of pulls everything together for you. It delivers you the not so happy ending.
Right.
You know, at the end of it, you understand why Frodo does what he does, but you get that sense of solemnness when Frodo and Merry and Pippin are sitting around the table, and everything they've been through, and they're back in Hobbiton. And how do you go back, right? You've seen this wide world. You've fought in this good fight. You know, there's a lot of things that make Return of the King very human.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
definitely.
Very, very human. Even as bad as everything is, they don't stop. They never give up. It's just, I think Return of the King is one of the finest films ever made. Personally, it's one of my favorites.
It's a beautiful movie.
It is.
And
you realize how big of dicks the Eagles are. Because they could have just flown him to Mount Doom at the very beginning, and he could have gotten rid of the ring, and Anyway, sorry, that's tangent.
no, I understand. But we had 2 years to, when it came out, super duper director's cut.
Yes.
Watch it a million times.
Which we did.
Dissect it.
Which we did.
Fall in love with it all over again many times.
I mean, I've had many marathons at my house.
Oh, yeah.
Just to watch all 3 films. I mean, I get up and I might be vacuuming or doing something, whatever, but I'm just watching. They're all in the background. You know what I mean? And it's just, how great is that? It's 9 hours of viewing if you want it to be. You know what I mean?
It is.
So,
but I'm just saying, when we got to Revenge of the Sith, it really didn't have a chance.
It didn't. And that's the thing. This is.
I don't even remember seeing it.
I did. I do. I don't remember a specific time. I remember seeing it. Let me be clear. You're right. I don't have this memory.
I guess I do too, but it's just, I was there.
Exactly. It wasn't like an event.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we were there. I mean, that's kind of what
it could have been weeks later.
Which I think is criminal, because even now I can tell you exactly what I did when Force Awakens came out. Mm-hmm. I can tell you exactly what I did when Rogue One came out. And I just, that's the shame of it. But I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith, and we got what we had always wanted with that film. We did. We really did. We finally got to see this epic battle between student and teacher.
Yes.
Okay? And we did. And it was so anticlimactic.
The fall of Anakin
is the greatest non-fall ever.
It is so forced. It's like, hey, he's been tightrope walking this whole time. Oh man, we really need to push him quick. We only got 15 minutes left of this movie. Have him kill some kids. Okay. There's like no fucking build up to it. You just had the Emperor like, yes.
And really, there's no real reason that he goes bad. There really isn't. If you think about this film,
opera scene where it's like, he's talking, Plagueis, he, protect the people he loved, he lived forever, and
bring people back from the dead, and all this other stuff. You know what I mean?
You know what? You're right. And he marches right to the temple, and
I mean, it's like it's the worst way that it was handled. You knew Darth Vader was a bad guy. Why? Because for the first 5 minutes of A New Hope, right? The first 5 minutes, the door opens up, there's 15 stormtroopers, here comes Vader. And just to have emphasis, here's this musical score that makes you feel like he's rotten, right? The next scene, he's choking Commander Antilles out just to get the information. Yes. This is a bad guy. And at the end of it, you're telling me it's a whiny shithead.
Yeah.
This is Vader?
Yeah.
This is the guy?
Yes. That is...
This is the
biggest travesty.
Anticlimactic finish.
Yes. And you can do as much retconning as you want, Marvel, through your comics to fill in those time periods. And some of it does sound really awesome, but it's like... A did not lead to B in this instance.
No, it didn't.
At all.
It didn't. No. It never made sense. The whole thing didn't make sense. Right down to the fact that, okay, Jedis can't get married. Why? But that wasn't even a thing, man. That wasn't even a thing. I mean, up to, do you remember what Dark Horse did? Like 3 months before episode 1 came out, they gave us a shot of one of the characters in a little mini-series. Okay, Coyote Mundi, okay? The story, opened up where he's married with fucking kids, okay? Yeah. I mean, it was like the biggest WTF. This whole...
Yeah, they weren't... All their different branches were not communicating. And that's one of the things I love the Disney purchase.
It's all under control.
Yes.
But it's not. I mean, but here's the thing: all through Obi-Wan explaining to Luke, right? You know, your father was a great Jedi, and you're going to be a great.
Oh, he's
Jedi.
a great pilot.
He was great. He was all. He was great at everything. Everything he did was great. It's great. Okay. Well, if Jedis couldn't get married, how the fuck was Luke gonna? You know what I mean? Where was the? And Luke, you know, in order for you to be a Jedi, you need to take a vow of celibacy.
No. But to back up, when you're watching this one mostly, you have Anakin, who you know is going to turn. He's whiny, not very likable.
Not at all.
So who do we turn to?
Obi-Wan.
We have Obi-Wan. But you would also think the Jedi Council. They were a bunch of assholes too. You couldn't even get behind them. It was, I mean...
What is it?
Obi-Wan's the only...
7 fucking Jedi, right? Go up against the Emperor. And the Emperor is that fucking badass?
I'm not even talking about
that. I am talking about that. Mace Windu's like this fucking badass guy. You know, he gets pushed out a fucking window?
After his hands get chopped off.
He gets pushed out of a window, though? Mm-hmm. Everybody's force jumping at the fucking beginning Attack of Clones. They're jumping out of speeder bikes going through Coruscant. Yeah. They can do anything except survive a fall from a window. Fucking bunch of shit. I'm sorry. This is one of those things that just makes me so effing mad about. You know what? Phantom Menace has all kinds of problems. You're right. Everybody wants to poo-poo on Phantom Menace. You're absolutely correct.
Yes.
It has problems. Jar Jar, pod racing, Whizzer, all this other garbage, okay?
Whizzer.
Sith is the worst one. Right down to the no. I mean, where do you want to go with this film? This film is terrible. This film is, there's no really redeeming qualities. I mean, what about Jimmy Smith's character, right? He pulls up to the Jedi Temple.
Oh.
Hey, shit's going down. You know, doesn't even get out. He didn't even get out of the speeder.
No, he does. He doesn't go off until he sees them shoot
the kid.
The kid.
In the back.
Yeah. Yeah. That had a lot of wasted potential. I mean, yeah. Top to bottom. Is it... After that movie, the only thing I remember talking about was, hey, we got to see the Death Star.
Yeah, you're right about that.
We got to see Tarkin.
And they did a good job with that.
Yeah.
And
but out of that whole movie, that's the only thing...
Yeah, you're right about that.
I remember preaching about.
And seeing Mon Mothma. Remember, they did a...
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Because it finally connected to
our Star Wars.
Good movie.
Our Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like the worst crap sandwich. You know, I've got 2 pieces of white bread with a pile of crap in the middle. But in this case, I've got an open-faced crap sandwich. I've got, you know, a bad piece of bread, a decent piece of meat, and then you just pour some, you know, Heinz home-style gravy over top of it. Yeah. And that's what you served me as my 3 films. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Attack of the Clones, or Revenge of the Sith, you really had this opportunity. This should have been a great film. This should have been the one. It's like, you know what? This redeemed it. You know? Because you had that opportunity to bridge the gap. You knew in this film that there had to be this battle.
Yeah.
There were so many things, you know?
And it's sad that we conversate about it, not even debate about it, but what did Padme die of? You couldn't even give us a definitive reason of death. It's just, she's fucking dying. What happened? What did I miss? I thought the last minute you'd run up and, I mean, just something to...
She died of heartbreak, Rob. Don't you get it?
No, because that romance is bullshit. It never made sense.
It didn't.
Like when he's surfing on the thing that you mentioned in the last episode, and he falls down in the grass, and they laugh, and... What? Yeah.
Look, I know there are people out there that are honestly these films they're fans of because it was their exposure to Star Wars, and And that's fair. But I also feel very sorry for you because this was your first exposure to Star Wars. But you know, in a way I'm indebted to it.
It's still Star Wars.
It is still Star Wars, and in a way I'm indebted to it because it brought in a whole group of fans, so we can at least have this conversation. You know, and we know we're not the only ones that feel the way we feel, and we know we're
just sounding like old men.
We are, because it wasn't our Star Wars. That's really what it boiled down to, and we get it. We really do. And we understand why people don't like Force Awakens.
And the thing is, people could turn. And the thing is, it's not like we turned our backs on Star Wars forever. No, it was just a little.
We had to breathe.
Period.
We had to take a breather.
Right.
We had to.
We grew back into that through nostalgia of being children again, viewing it. Force Awakens helped, but there was stuff even before that. The cool toys,
if you didn't love it as much, it wouldn't have hurt as bad.
Correct. But we came back.
We did. We did. George is that creepy uncle that drinks too much and yells at you sometimes. And that's kind of how I felt.
Yeah.
You know, I loved him, but I hated him. I couldn't believe this is what he did, but at the same time, thank you for doing it. You know what I mean? So it's a weird...
It is.
It's a weird feeling with him, you know? But I can tell you this, I will be forever indebted to Peter Jackson because he got me through a very rough time.
And the thing is, people could turn this argument against us with what they perceive about The Hobbit.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I love The Hobbit movies.
I do too.
I have not a problem with them at all.
But here's the thing with the Hobbit films, as we summarize this 3-part series, the thing with the Hobbit films became more about, thanks for giving me another 9 hours to play in this world.
Oh, yeah.
More so than the fact that you could have told that story in 2 films. Does that make sense? I know you dragged this out.
Oh, yeah.
I know
and
what you did.
People complained about that, which bugs me, where it's like, just enjoy it. Enjoy being in Middle-earth.
That's...
And the thing is, they're different movies, but
they're different feels.
Handled differently.
They're different feels.
Right. You wanted the quiet moments that are in Lord of the Rings. This wanted to be the bombastic version of it. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. It's unfair to expect a director, and this is the same thing with Lucas to a certain extent, okay? And it's unfair that we do what we've done to Lucas.
Right.
And I freely admit it's unfair. But who wants to go make the second set of films twice? So Jackson did it. He did Lord of the Rings in one way. A way that I find very visually appealing. The Hobbit, he did in a completely different way.
It was done faster. It was done more under a studio's watch. I mean, they went
but it was
CG
much more digital right.
Because it's quicker.
It's quicker, and he could do more of it in a soundstage.
He didn't have to make all the armor and everything.
Exactly. So I understood why there's 2 feels to that film.
Yes.
But not only that, Jackson didn't want to make Lord of the Rings Part 2. Because he's a director, he's going to try to improve what he's doing. Right. He's going to try to push himself, create and push boundaries. The same thing Lucas did with episodes 1, 2, and 3. And I get it. I understand the artistic side of it. Okay? Sometimes it translates and does very well. And sometimes it doesn't. Jackson was luckier.
Yeah.
Because his source material is a classic.
Yes, it exists.
It exists.
That's one hurdle he did not have.
He did not have to.
But he put his own flourish on it.
He did.
That was just for fun.
No doubt. No disputing it. But it made his job easier. Do I respect Lucas? Because everything you're touching is yours. You know, from your way of filming it, from your script to your story, everything is yours, George. We know that. Okay? Mm-hmm. Did that make it harder? No doubt it did.
Yeah.
But at no point... You should never let your ego get in your way. Correct. And I feel that that's what episodes 1, 2, and 3 came up to be more about. Yeah. As opposed to telling the story you wanted to tell. It became more about, I can do it, I'm going to do it, it's my story to tell. No one else can do this, and 20th Century Fox can go F themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
That's what it seemed to be. To me.
I mean, when the opening crawl of Phantom Menace starts and it's talking about trade federations and monies and taxes and what? I mean,
look at the opening crawl of New Hope. Look at the opening crawl of Phantom Menace. You watch the opening crawl of New Hope, and everything about that I want to see.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know, it's a dark day in the galaxy. The Empire rules.
It sounds like the beginning of a fairy tale. Not the beginning
Episode
of
1
a
sounds
Wall Street
like
Journal.
Exactly. Am I seeing Galactic Wall Street?
Because I'm assuming...
I mean, and did anybody ever ask what the fuck the Trade Federation was blockading Naboo over? What was does Naboo have special something? Why was there even a blockade to begin with? Why was that a thing? Beads.
Seashells and... Very good point. Unattainable.
Sorry, I just had that epiphany right there.
No.
Just actually made it all worse, didn't it? Really,
it does, actually. It really does.
Sorry. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this 3-part.
I don't know what to say. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yes,
for
absolutely.
Here.
We had to get this off our chest.
Yeah.
This is actually our second attempt at this story.
The first time was, I think, over an hour and a half.
So we've tried to,
slim it down for you.
So, but it was a story we had to tell. It was a story we had to get off of our chest because it was something that we lived through, and how we kind of did what we did and got through it. And I hate to say it that way, but it's almost kind of
jumping fandoms, not just Star Trek to Star Wars, but whole different genre for a little while.
It was like leaving that girl you had dated for 5 years just to date another girl for 3 years to end up coming back to the girl you were supposed to be with the whole time.
Yeah.
That's how it feels,
Some Nicholas Sparks.
Yeah, exactly,
to Star Wars. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Anyway, keep being rad.
Stay dorky.
Catch you next time.